Hey, welcome back to the channel, friends. As always, man, I am stoked to see you. So, working through all the subject areas, really, from a typical MOI, whether it's for promotion board or for competition board. And had a question. Of course, you can find all those in my board playlist. So you can go check out all those, plus all of the top tips that'll help set you up for success, whether you're appearing before the promotion board for sergeant or staff sergeant, or whether you're going for a soldier or NCO of the quarter or year competition. So I did have a question, as we're rolling through, had a question about being hit up to do NCOERs. So we're going to do that one here, and then we're going to keep this conversation rolling on all kinds of things. And by the way, if that's what you're into, that's what this channel is all about, right? It's all about professional development. It's all about military and Army news and all types of related content. So if that's what you're into as well, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's right there. Click that notification bell and you'll stay up to date on some future content. So I'm going to do this one a little bit different. I always, as we're going through these, I will ask the question and I'll give a little bit of a pause in the video so you can hit the pause button if you want. And then you can answer the question and then you can hit pause again and go through. It's not a long pause, just a couple seconds, enough time to give you time to practice if you want. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and that's probably one of the top tips that I could ever give somebody, is make sure you say the words out loud. Don't just read them on a paper. Now this is, I'm pulled up, and why this is a little bit different, because this is what I would take into a board, right, is from my board book. And this is what most dudes study, right? So is this the right thing to study? And I'll address that one in a different one, different video. But these are the questions, and I wanted to look through these, on ArmyStudyGuide.com, and then we'll look at some other ones as well. But this is what dudes are going to study, and so like the top question is, what Army regulation prescribes policies for the ERS? And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to ask you what regulation covers NCOERs or the ERS, right? I'm not going to ask you that, because if you can't spit out 623-3, man, I got nothing for you. So skipping down to question number 2 is the exact same thing. Question number 3 here is what does the evaluation system or the ERS evaluation reporting system, if I can learn how to read, I'm getting ahead of myself here. What does it identify? People who are qualified for promotion. Gotcha. And this one has kind of a long answer, so I'll address that one too, right? Here we go. So you can see how we have a whole paragraph here, right? So the ERS identifies officers and non-commissioned officers who are best qualified for promotion and assignments to positions of higher responsibility. ERS also identifies soldiers who should be kept on active duty, those who should be retained in grade, and those who should be eliminated. That's a big old fat answer to say this. The ERS is designed to find those service members who should be promoted, kept in grade, or terminated. Boom. That's all you have to say. Just anything like that. That's too easy, right? Come on now. We've got to make this thing so complicated. You don't have to memorize an entire paragraph from the regulation or from the study guide. And the same is going to be true for like this next one, You see this big old chunk of a question and answer, and that's how it happens a lot, right? Because we don't know what to expect. So it just starts to get out of control, because this next question is, under the evaluation reporting system, a soldier is evaluated on performance and potential. In the system, what 3 kinds of evaluations are given, right? So the 3 types of evaluations that are given is that big old long answer, right? Duty evaluations, either DA Form 67-9 or DA Form 2166-8. School evaluations, either the 1059 or the 1059-1. Or the DA evaluations. And those are selection boards and personnel management systems used for the evaluations. Duty and school evaluations are single time, blah, blah, blah. Man, you're not going to remember all that garbage. Nobody knows all this stuff. And that's the thing you have to remember, when you're going to go appear before the promotion board. Is unless your first sergeant is hot on all of these subject areas, they don't know the answers either. And that doesn't mean that you spit off whatever that you want. But don't think that you are being held to a different standard. As a specialist, who's going to know everything about NCOERs. No, man, that's not how that works. So in this particular case, if somebody said the 3 types of evaluations are duty performance, school evaluations, and DA evaluations, I'd count that as a go for you, 100%. So that's an appropriate question. That's on my list. The 3 types of evaluations is on my list as well. This next one is even worse, man, and that's why, look, that's one question and answer, man. I mean, like, what are we doing? ArmyStudyGuide.com, man, you suck. It's a good resource, but I mean, it's the cliff note. And at the end of the day, this big old long question, and the question is, what 3 factors are considered when judging a soldier's performance or potential? And that's requirements for leaders, duty performance, and leader qualifications. What is the basic structure of the ERS? Man, I'm not going to ask you that, especially if you're a specialist. Here's a great one. What will a rating chain for an NCO consist of? Right, so that rating chain consists of the rated NCO, the rater, the senior rater, and the supplementary reviewer if required. Money in the bank, right? Now, that's another tip for you. When you're answering a question and you want to help slow down the board a little bit, put a little bit of the question in your answer, as opposed to just saying the rated NCO, the rater, the senior rater, and the supplementary reviewer. Slow it down, man. All right, slow it down. The rating chain consists of first sergeant, sergeant major, whichever is appropriate. The rating chain consists of the following members: the rated NCO, the rater, the senior rater, and the supplementary reviewer. Bam! And look how long that took, right? The longer it takes you to answer a question with confidence like that, the less time I have to ask you questions. How many types of NCOERs are there? There are 7 types of NCOERs. Great, what are they? Bam, man, so you got to know that. There's always going to be a follow-up question, right? And so if you were to be asked a question like, how many types of NCOERs are there? You could say there are 7 types. They include annual change of rate or relief or cause, complete the record, 60-day and 90-day options, temporary duty or special duty. So you say it like that, and you kind of answered both right off the bat, and you tell me in doing so that you know a little bit more about the scenario. If you came out and said, there are 7 different types, I'm going to call the annual, change of rate or relief or cause, and that's all I can recall at this time. However, I would refer to 623-3. Other times where an NCOER might be warranted. I'd give you a go for that. Man, this thing goes on and on and on, right? And so, the study guide has 32 questions, man, 32 questions. And so when you're looking at an MOI and you're trying to figure out, how am I going to memorize all these things? The answer is you're not. Now, I did when I was competing and I really wanted to win. I did. I ate them like it was the book. But truth be told, you're not going to be asked that many types of questions. So, I walk in, and most board members walk in, with a list like this. Maybe it's a sheet per paper. Some dudes may, copy and paste from ArmyStudyGuide.com. Some may go into the regulation. Some may write their own. Everybody's going to do their thing a little bit different. And you never know, but the surefire to know is if your battalion has a study guide, use this study guide, right? So how often are your bad. How often are NCOs counseled? NCOs are counseled quarterly, that's right. Who establishes the rating chain? The commander establishes the rating chain. When can the rated NCO sign that NCOER? Of course, the rated NCO can sign 14 days prior to the through date. And when is that NCOER due to HRC before it's late? And so it's due no later than 90 days after the through date, or it is considered late. And those, along with, and of course, I got things like what are the NCOER forms, and I'm gonna expect, definitely young buck sergeants to know that, right? And that's an easy one for specialists to know as well, right? Between the 2166-9 and the 2166-1 Alpha. But to be honest with you, when it comes to, like, if you're a specialist, I don't expect you to know all that much, because when I ask a question, I really want you to know what we're talking about, not just be able to spit out some paper or some words, and tell me that you can regurgitate knowledge. I mean, I want to know what you know. So I might be more likely to ask like a situational question. Say, you're assigned as a rater for an NCO. Describe me your actions. Right, and so this is a little bit lengthier of a process, right? It's not just a cut and paste type of thing, right? So, as a rater, it is your obligation to provide a counseling to that NCO within 30 days, right? And it's an initial reception and orientation counseling, right? But then you also just owe them to start creating that support form. Now you can do both of those. You can start that support form in ERS, right? Or EES, my fault, you're bad again. And so you can create that and keep it digitally, or if you have a program in your unit and you have a counseling package for your NCOERs or for your NCOs, it's an easy thing to keep jambling up. You can print it off, and it can be hand jammed as well, right? So you're going to counsel your NCO. You're going to set expectations. You're going to make sure that they understand their duties and description. What do I expect from you as an NCO? Now, a lot of times, as a senior NCO, we might provide this on a memorandum for record, but we need to capture it on that support form. We need to set goals on the support forms so that in 3 months, we can sit down and we can counsel, no later than 3 months from then, we can sit down and we can counsel that NCO to go over the past performance as well as what's coming up in the future, right? So all kinds of things hopping, popping. As a rater, I'm going to ensure that my rated NCO also does counselings with that senior rater as well, right? Because truth be told, that senior rater's remarks have way more gravity than mine do. Because that senior rater is the one who's going to say, promote with peers, do not promote at this time, retain at the current grade, promote ahead of peers. That's heavy stuff right there. So I want to make sure that they understand what's being expected of them as well. And, continue going in as far as that's concerned. So the next question is your rater gives you an NCOER to sign, and you haven't been counseled the entire rating period. What are your actions? Your first response should be, this is never going to happen, because after 3 months, if I haven't been sat down to receive my counseling, I'm going to pull my rater to the side and say, hey, can we talk about how things are going and how you see the future going? You can initiate that conversation. And as an NCO, I expect you to have a little intestinal fortitude to establish that conversation, because don't expect, the back end, because I'm not even giving you any context here, right? I haven't told you if it's a good NCOER, if it's a bad one, if it's a middle of the road one. The bottom of the line, or the bottom line up front on this was, you haven't been counseled. What are your actions? Are you going to sign it, or are you not going to sign it? Now, truth be told, if it's a decent NCOER, if it's a great NCOER, you're going to sign it as if you were counseled. Give me a break. But don't get into that rabbit hole of assuming what's on that, of assuming not just on this, but in any situational question. If you get yourself going down a rabbit hole and getting a lot of follow-up questions, and you're getting pulled in, right? That board member is just pulling you apart, and he's seeing how much can I pull you apart before you absolutely break. Because I can't have that as an NCO or staff sergeant, as a squad leader or section sergeant. I need you to be firm. I need you to know what you know, and I need you to do what you know. right? And so what you know is that would never happen. And that's what the story you need to come with. All right, so there you go, everybody. Just a few standard questions, a few tips to help you along the way, as well as a couple situational questions. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, man, leave something down in the comments below, and I'll hit you back up. We'll just keep this conversation rolling. If you enjoyed the content of the video, make sure you smash that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on some future content, subscribe to the channel. It's literally right there. And click the notification bell so you can stay up to date on some future content. As always, man, until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.